Now, to be able to retrieve the list of book from Firestore database, first we need to use the useEffect. React has introduced a new feature called useEffect. This feature allows a functional component to run code before it is rendered or before it is destroyed, or in case it is updated, whether the props or the state has been updated, we can have a code to run on these changes. So useEffect allow us with a functional component to be able to use the React component event cycle. We can use it like this. We run useEffect and take a function. Inside this function we will write the code that need to be run before the component render. What we need to do before the component render is to get the list of books from Firestore database. To get the list of books, first we need to make this function asynchronous. Then we'll await for the db.collection books.get. This operation will return the list of books in a form of snapshot. A snapshot is like an iterable object. We can use it to loop through our book list. First we need to save this snapshot into a constant called snapshot. We'll create a new state. First I will relocate this useEffect below our states, and we'll create a new state. We'll call it books, set books equal to use state. First it will be an empty array, or let's say null. Now we need to set the books state to snapshot. Snapshot is a list of books as sent by our Firestore. Set books, we'll give it the snapshot object. Alright, here in the console we get a warning. So this is supposed to be synchronous. To create any synchronous code we need to put it inside a new function that is synchronous. So we'll create here a new function async. We'll create an anonymous function and we'll call it immediately. Alright, so if we save now, I guess we're rid of this warning. Now if we run our application and check our state, we can see, as you can see, this is the snapshot returned. It is an iterable object, but it behaves as an array. We can iterate through it. Alright, we have here our snapshot saved inside books state. So what I would like to do is, instead of saving the snapshot iterable object, I prefer to save a flat array. So I will loop through the snapshot. Dot for each. This will call a function with each document. Here I will create a constant books equal an empty array. Books dot push. Here I'll push a new object that contain the ID. We can retrieve it with document.id, and the rest of the data we can get them by spreading the object doc.data, which contain all the other attribute. So we'll save it to our state here. Now concerning the naming here, to make it clearer, I'll change here the name from books to let's say book array. Books array, since we already used the name books for the state. Now we can test to see how our book state is shaped. We have an error here, cannot read property push of null. Of course, we haven't changed the name here. So if we refresh and we check the state, we'll see here a list of books. We only have the ID. The problem is I made a mistake. Doc.data is actually a function that you need to call it. This function returns the object that contains the other properties of the book. So now we can test it again. If we reload, we get all the book, each with the related field. Now as you can see, it is running endlessly. Okay, we made a mistake. useEffect will keep running unless we provided a second parameter. This parameter specify the props that the useEffect rely on to run. So it's an array of props. If we put here a prop, useEffect will only run once this prop has been changed. So to run it only a single time, we provide an empty array. This will make it run only once. So if I reload now, I will see my state populated with the list of books, and it only ran one time. Now we have our books state, and it is populated with the list of book. It's time to display it on the screen. To be able to display the book, we need to add some HTML. I'll add here h2 add new book, and I'll create a division next to the form with a class book list. Inside of it, h2 book list, and here I will loop through the books array. With JSX I can map through it and create a collection of component books.map. Each loop I get the book, and I can create my JSX here. I'll make a division dot book dash item. Inside of it I'll put the title in h4, book dot title. Then I'll create a span and I'll put the label in a strong element for the pages. Book dot pages, then space another span inline element with the label in strong for publishing date. Dot publish date. Here the publish date is a date object that is provided by Firestore. To make it into a JavaScript date, I need to use the function toDate. Now I need to transform it to date string. We can use the dot to string. Let's try it. Alright, we have cannot read property map of null. So about the variable books, let me check the initial value, which is null. We will make it an array, empty array, so it won't make an error. Alright, here it is, publishing date. It's a long full date here. Let's see how we can format this time here. Let's use toDate string. And here it is. This is our list of books, currently not styled, but working perfectly. Now, this component has become a large component with a lot of responsibility. Next, we need to remove some of its responsibility into new component and import them to this component. We'll start with the book list. We'll create here a new component. We'll name it booklist.js. We'll create a new function component, and we'll need from the props the books. Here we are destructuring the received props variable, which we expect that contain books. We return the JSX that we have already created here. We take all of this and paste it here. So this is our component. We'll export the component list. Sorry, it's export default. And we need to import this component in our main component, the app component. Import from book list. And we'll call it here with a prop book list equal to books. Alright, let's test this code in our browser, and we have an error, cannot read property map undefined. Okay. Here we set it to books, so it should be books. And here we go. Now we have a component that is responsible for displaying books. In the next thing, we need to also continue with separating concerns and responsibility. We'll be creating some UI component for various elements here on the page. For example, for the error, we'll move it to another component, the button 2, and we'll introduce a new third-party library, the styled component. We'll rely on it to arrange our style. Now to create UI components for the button and the error, I like to group them in a folder called UI. I'll create a file called button, which will contain the component for the button. Here, function, which will return the code I created here. I will get this code and paste it here inside the parentheses. Here I need as a prop the loading state variable, and I need the text for the label. I get it through a variable called label. For the time being, I'll leave the loading as a string. We'll change it later. Now I'll import this component. First, I'll export it as export default button. Now I can import the button in the app.js. Since I'll be having a lot of UI component, it will be not good to have a 10 line of import for each UI element. What I will do is create inside the UI folder an index file that will export an object that contain all the UI component. I'll start with my only component, the button component, and I'll export an object that contains for now only the button. This way, with a single import, I can import as many components as I want. For now, only I have one component, the button, and I can use here just the UI. It will default to /index.js. So I can now use the component. It will have the loading. I will send it the loading as a prop called loading, and the label that contains the save text. One thing I need also to take care of is the type submit. Not all buttons will have a type of submit. We need to have a way for the user to be able to provide the submit type for the button. What I can do here, I will grab the rest of the props using the spread operator here as the last property for this object. Here, this syntax will grab all the props that I provide through the button component. For example, I can provide anything like type equal submit, and I will grab anything provided as a prop with the rest, and I can spread it here as attributes for this button. I will remove the type since I provided here, and I can provide as many attributes as I want. For example, I can do title hello world, for example. We can test this, and if I reload, I didn't remove the old one. Here I have the button displayed correctly. Inside of it is the text save. I can create now book 9, 800 pages, and I choose any date. If I save, I see the loading and it is saved. Now if you want, we can check the button to see that the attribute title is available and the type submit also are available. So everything is working perfectly. Now I added book 9, but as you see it is not published immediately, so it's not here in the list. I need to reload manually to get it in the list, book 9. This is not good for SPA application. It needs to be dynamic. This is the reason why we are building SPA in the first place. We'll fix this later. Back to my file, the app.js. Now we will do the same thing for the error component. Also I create a new UI component called error MSG, or I prefer to create a more general component called message. Could be for success or for error messages. I'll create also the corresponding functional component for this message component. So what will return is this line of code here, but since it has a JSX statement, I need to wrap it with any element. I can type div, but I will wrap it with an empty element that is provided by the React library. Here I have the element. What will this return in case there's an error is this HTML element P, and it will ignore this empty element. So here in the prop I need to retrieve or destructure an error message. This could be null. If it's null, it will help us to check whether there's an error or not, or else it will be text. So first I need the error, then the type. The type could be error or success. I use the type as a class, but I didn't name it class because it's more meaningful to be named as a type, because it could play a role other than providing the class text or string. That's why I chose the name type. So here is our message component. I will export this message component and I will import it in the index. So with our index here we can easily import UI component to any other component message. Alright, so here I can use the component message as an element, and I will provide the error, and the type will be error. Alright, so now I can remove this line of code. To be able to check the error component, I need to have an error. To test for an error, I will throw here in the try catch block, I will throw an error, throw new error testing error message. Now we can test. I will reload the page and save. Alright, this is it. Now let's work on our style sheet. For the style sheet, I'll be using a third-party library called styled component. This will help us keep our style related to our component by writing them beside each component, as you will see next. Now let's remove this error message here, and let's go and check the styled component library. This is how we use it. We create a styled component. To install the styled component with yarn, we type yarn add styled component. So yarn add. Alright, now First thing, I need to style the button, and I'll import styled component. What we can do here is create a new constant called button styled, which is equal to styled dot button, and we'll open and close the ticks operator. Inside here we can introduce any style, any CSS styles, the normal CSS styles. For the button, I'll remove the border none, and I'll add a background color. I'll add a color Dodger blue, a padding 5 and a 15 pixel. To use this styled button, I'll replace my button with the styled button. This will be in its turn be replaced with the element button. So if I save and run the server, I see my button, the style has been applied. I will add also a color of white, font weight bold, I'll increase the padding top and bottom to 8 and left and right to 20. Border radius 6 pixel. Font size much better. Now I have my button styled. So this looks like one style of a button. If you want to introduce different button style, for example, let's say secondary or outlined, we can add props here. Let's say style, and here we can read these props using $props. Here a function that gets the props. To make things clearer, this is a normal function. I can open the function like this and make a return. What I need to return is a CSS. First I need to import the CSS function. The CSS also work as the same as styled. The CSS you add here will override these styles. For example, let's override the border. Let's make a border 1 pixel solid light gray. If I save and check, I will see a light gray border here. As you can see, it's not very clear, but you can see it if you focus on it. So instead of directly adding the style, I need to create a condition. The condition will be if there's a props outlined and it return this. If only props outline exists, or props dot, as we have introduced a style property, or props dot style equal outline. If the style is outlined, then add this style and maybe remove the background. Or you can, as I prefer, make it as outline, make the props directly use the outline as a props. And if the outline props exist, we will have this style. Now we won't see them. To be able to check this style, we need to change the button component by adding for the outline. If I add now outline, oh, I need to pass it to the button style. What I will do is I remove it, since I'm using the rest operator. Background color transparent. Alright, this is it, background color transparent. Then the color black, maybe. Let's check the color black. Alright, so this is our outline button. Let's remove the title. It was a dummy title. And let's now keep it as our primary button style. So this is how you can use the styled component, and how you can benefit from props to add some condition to create different styles with the use of prop as options. Now we'll move back to the error messages and give them some styles. For the error message, also I'll import the style component, and I'll create a msg style equal to style.p, which will be the p element we're using here, or we can say p styled. Inside the text, I will write here my style. I want to have the message to have a padding of 10 pixel, a border of 1 pixel solid light gray, and a background of a very light gray. To apply the p style, I remove my p and use the p style. I made here a mistake. The p should be capital. All the components should start with a capital letter for React to be able to recognize it as a custom component. Let me throw again the error. Throw new error. Now if I save, alright, here is my error. I will also add a border radius of 6 pixels. Alright, this is the default style. Now, if I have an error prop, like in our case, here I'll check props. If there's a props.type and it is equal to error, I'll introduce a new styles, CSS. Now I need to import the CSS function. CSS, I will change the border color to tomato and background dash color. Let me change the background color to tomato and border color transparent. The text will be white color. So if I save now, hasn't changed. Props.type equal to error. We haven't provided the type as a prop. You need to provide the type as a prop. Type equal type. Alright, so as we can see now it is working. And if I didn't provide a type, okay, it seems working fine. Now concerning the error here, each child in a list should have a unique key prop. Now for the error concerning the book list, here in book list I can provide a key which will be equal to the book.id. If I reload, I will not have this error. Let me return the type equal error. Perfect. Now we have our message style, but in case if it's a success, we need to have it green. So what I will do is check for many conditions. If type equal error, question mark, else the border color will be transparent, the background color will be green, and the color will be white. No, what we'll do, if props.type equal error, we'll have this. Now we need to check if it's not error. So what we'll do, we'll introduce an if prop.types equal error, return this, else if props.type equal success, we return the green style. So now I have the red style, but if I change the attribute to, let's say, success, we'll have nothing. Let me success green. Oh, I haven't returned the actual styles. So now it should be this ugly green, which will I will change it later. Instead of green, I'll put yellow green. Better. Now I will put the error back, and I will remove here the error that we are throwing. So here we have a brief introduction about style component. Let me add one more thing. Here there's a shortcut we can do, is to remove the accolade, so it will immediately return. And I can here simplify it more by providing two functions. So I can do like this: props and I return this CSS, and another props which now check for success and return the other CSS. Alright, so this approach will work fine. Alright, it is maybe easier to understand. Alright, now if to make sure that everything is working as expected, I can try the success style, which work also fine. Perfect. We will style a little bit form fields. For this I will create a new UI component that will wrap each field and provide some styling and label. I will name it field. It will be a component. I will use it like this, and I will provide here the input. For the label, I will provide it as a prop label. Here's the text. Let's name it label text, and I'll give it an ID, and I remove the label. This field we will create it right now. Inside the UI folder, I create a new file called field. Here I create a new component, and I will return this, but without the input. To get the input that I receive here as a child of field, I can use the props.children. Now, as I have the label inside with the prop, the label text, I can get it with props.label text. Now for the HTML4, we'll be using, of course, the ID, props.id, and we'll export this component. In the app, I'll import it here. So this should work. Okay, I have also to export it from the index.js. So I can import it here like this. Now if I test, here is the title working as expected. Also I'll do for the other input field, and I'll copy. This is the ID, and this is the label. So instead of giving it the 2 point at the end, the punctuation, I'll add it here with a space at the end. I'll remove the label. Now I will add some styles for the div here. First I'll import the style from style components, and I create a new component. I can name it here div style. Now for the CSS, I'll create a spacing, a bottom margin, 15 pixel. Now to apply the style, I replace this div with my new component, which is also a div but with style. Whoa, I made an error here. Always the first letter should be a capital. Alright, I will rename it style div. Next I will style the label. Constant styled label, styled dot label. Font weight bold. Our label bold. So this is it for the field. Just some basic styling. This will give us some flexibility in the future if in case we need to do some additional styling, or we need to change how the label is placed. Maybe we need to add some icons or stuff. We can easily adjust it in a single place.